Hello there, my YouTube friends and fans. Welcome to Medal of Honor Airborne. Yes, that's actually a really old game, 10 years to be exact. But you know what? It's free right now on Xbox Live, and I thought, hey, why not? And I was actually kind of surprised that I didn't play this game yet, that I kind of didn't even notice this game. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that Call of Duty 4 was out that same year and everyone was focusing on Call of Duty 4. So I was actually also surprised to find out that this game was made by DICE, the same company that makes Battlefield or made all the Battlefields after this game. So maybe we can consider this the very first Battlefield. I don't know. I actually don't know when the first Battlefield came out because I didn't play the very first Battlefield. But this, if you're a Battlefield fan, you definitely will like this game a lot because it is quite challenging, believe it or not, because the AI is so good that you cannot trick them out as easily as you can do them in some arcade shooters. The AI always seem to know where you are at all times, and they're super accurate and they kill you very, very fast. And then when you die, you get punished with having to start from the mission, the beginning of the mission again, which can be quite daunting because sometimes you've done so much, you've spent half an hour to get to one point only to have to start all over again, working your way forward to that point. And the hardest thing that was getting used to actually is the wobbliness of the character. I don't know how else to say, but you can see it here. That was at the very beginning of the game still, when I was trying to just get used to the character moving like he was super drunk. And when you're super drunk, it's really hard to be accurate, and actually it got me almost a little bit motion sick, even though I don't usually suffer from motion sickness in games. But this, oh boy. And then the controls, oh my god, the controls are not what you're used to in today's FPS games. I think they have it pretty down now on what works best, but back then I think they still didn't really know. So you have three controller scheme, the default, the 1 and the 2. But none of them was perfect. When I got one button right, the other ones weren't right. And then I switched it around again. I got the other button right, but the first button wasn't right. So I kind of went back and forth and eventually went back to actually the default setting just because the sprinting is the left thumbstick, which I like the most. And that's how I do best. But then weapon cycle and other things, it was just all screwed up. And when your brain is wired a different way to play a shooter, it's really hard to rewire your brain. Well, at least for me it does, because I'm a little older too. Besides those few frustrations, the game is actually quite fun and can become quite addictive. Look at that, you get weapon upgrades by just playing really well, and then those upgrades get added automatically to your weapon. You don't have to go and fiddle with your weapon, which is really, really nice. Another thing this game does really well is that you are not feeling like this is so much on rails. It has a little bit of an open world feeling to it because in each location you can basically choose where you want to go and which objective you want to tackle and how you want to tackle it. And flanking is just so sweet in this game. Another thing that we're used to from a lot of FPS games is that you can pick up weapons that you find and you actually get rewarded for trying out lots of different weapons. And it's actually kind of good because sometimes you think your weapon is just really awesome until you find another one and you realize that the other weapon wasn't as great as the one you just picked up, and you start having a ton of fun and things are getting better. And if you're not sure if you should play this game, I say you should really go for it, because not only does it get very addictive, but look at that, you get so many achievements and you can upgrade your weapon to where it becomes a real pleasure to use. One thing I noticed pretty early in this game is that the enemy seems to be immune against grenades, and that can be very, very frustrating because you have so many grenades at hand, but you feel like, why even use them? Because no matter how many grenades you throw at them, they just don't seem to die. And that's not the same the other way around. Let me tell you, you are shooting your way towards an objective and all of a sudden you get killed by a grenade that came flying at you out of nowhere and you die right away. And another thing I learned is that shooting out of the hip works often a lot better than using the sight because the guns are just not as accurate. They are probably like the guns used to be back then, pretty realistic, I assume, because you just have so much recoil on those guns. And also, I don't think the hitbox has been developed so good in this game because you can literally have the time to line up a headshot on someone and be right on the head and the guy doesn't even go down. Something that I'm not used to playing Battlefield. Another thing that I'm not used to is that AI is usually pretty slow, pretty dumb. They're easy to take out because they're standing around. They're not aware of you being there. It takes them usually quite long to realize that you're there and then take aim at you, which makes it very simple to take them out. And a lot of times it can make a game kind of boring and repetitive. Not this game though. The AI in this game is not dumb, let me tell you. They know exactly where you are at all times. You cannot trick them out. You cannot sneak up on them. They know where you are before you even know they're there. And they'll take you out fast. So the only way to succeed in this game is be super fast and hopefully super accurate. Another thing that's hard getting used to in this game is knowing which characters are enemies and which ones are your own bodies. There is a slight difference in clothing, but because the game is super muddy and dull, like gray and gritty, just like war games should be, it can be sometimes hard to, in a split second, to know if it's an enemy or your own character. But thankfully you cannot shoot your own character, which is good, because I kind of would kill my team all the time, I guess. But other than that, this game is a ton of fun. There are very cool missions you have to complete. Not something you haven't seen before, but still fun. And it feels really satisfying completing those missions, especially when you fought your way so hard to that one end goal, that one objective, and you finally made it. I would definitely highly recommend this game, especially if you are nostalgic about older shooters or if you just like FPS games in general. I hope you liked this video and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.